to ensure that we're all aligned and we're addressing the opportunities for the growth of the Saudi economy. We want to transition from being reactive to proactive. We've been reactive to the disruptions and technological advancements. Now we want to be part of making those advancements. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Engineer Anas. And definitely one of the things you mentioned is having the right skills is very important to make us future ready. Thank you so much for your insight. Engineer Abdullah, from a strategic view, what milestones best show Vision 2030's progress?
Thank you, Malak. We've heard significant achievements from my colleagues on the panel. But from my point of view as the Deputy of the Strategic Management Office in the Center of Government, I have the unique vantage point of seeing progress of Vision 2030 across sectors and programs. And what strikes me the most is the scale and scope of the transformation. Thousands of projects and initiatives, hundreds of KPIs that are being monitored. So for example, in 2024, 93% of all our key performance indicators have met or exceeded their targets. 85% of initiatives are either on track or completed. And that is a scale that is at the national level. And just to give you the impact of this progress, for example, on the labor market, when we started the vision, Saudi unemployment was north of 12%. Today it is at a historical low of 6.3%. Female labor market participation has doubled to more than 36% just a few years after launching the vision. Many developed economies around the world, it took them decades to achieve that progress. And more importantly, on the economy side, we're creating opportunity through the growth of our non-oil economy. Over the last 3 years, our non-oil GDP has grown by more than 4% on an annual basis, making us one of the fastest growing economies in the G20. I think underscoring all of that is this progress has instilled a sense of achievement in the Saudi youth. And that allowed them to believe in a better future and build the confidence to impact their nation through this transformation. And I think this is the lasting legacy for Vision 2030.
Thank you so much, Engineer Abdullah. That gives us a really great perspective of what has been achieved so far. That brings us to our third section of the day. Who? Who are the Saudis whose journey best reflect the spirit of Vision 2030? We'll start with you, Engineer Fawaz. What success stories do you see among entrepreneurs, women, the youth in Saudi seizing new opportunities?
Okay, so I covered entrepreneurship partly in my previous answer, so I'd like to elaborate on the point that my colleague Abdullah made regarding women participation in the workforce. So since the beginning, we focus on policy reforms just to try to get to gender equality. So we were able to get equality in opportunities, equality in pay. We also had some specific initiatives targeted towards women. So one of them was the parallel training initiative, so basically on-job training. We've targeted around 100,000 beneficiaries and 120,000 women benefited from the program. We also have a program called Wusul. Basically, it provides support for women commuting to and from work, and more than 150,000 women benefited from the program in 2024 alone. We also developed a program called Hurra, which provides childcare services for working moms, and more than 30,000 women benefited from the program in 2024 alone. We also have more general initiatives targeted to both genders, but women benefited from them more. One example is the freelancing platform It issued actually more than 500,000 certificates in 2024, and we have the flexible work and remote work platforms, which issued combined more than 70,000 contracts in 2024. Yes, our women participation in the workforce doubled, exceeding our 2030 target. However, we want to see more. We want to see women in leadership positions. That's why we also measure women in management positions. It increased, it was 28% in 2017, and today it's more than 44%. I also would like to talk about volunteering. So in Saudi Arabia, we established the National Volunteering Platform, which is basically, it provides an Uber model connecting supply and demand. Our 2030 target was to reach 1 million volunteers. Last year, I'm happy to report that we reached 1.2 million volunteers. By the way, these are unique annual volunteers, so it's not cumulative in 2024.
Thank you so much, Engineer. It's really great to hear about female empowerment in numbers. Thank you so much. We would like to hear more about the health sector and some of the success stories in the health sector. Dr. Khalid, could you please share an example of how healthier citizens are now living longer and fuller lives?
Yes, sure. The impact is visible to every citizen in the population. We have now implemented the National Saudi Model of Care, which emphasizes wellness, early detection of disease, and prevention of disease. We have, in Saudi Arabia, actually is amongst a few countries that utilize an all-government approach, which is called the Health and All Policies. So legislations are issued for the sake of maintaining the population healthy and viable. Examples of such will pass laws related reducing the salt content in diet, or prohibiting altogether the polysaturated fats, introducing sin taxes on sugary drinks and other similar activities. We have also other national programs that focuses on the quality of life. Actually, a visualization program is specifically addressing that. So the quality of life program addresses improving the quality of life in the population, introduced new culture, art, social activities, but also sports. Sports engaging all the population with the different categories in different levels of sport. Professional sport, but also the level of elderly, women sport. All of that has led actually to the population living a fuller and healthier life.
Thank you so much. These are absolutely great examples. Engineer Abdullah, from your perspective, what are success stories that stands out, or as an example of Vision 2030 in action?
Well, Malak, to be honest, this is a very difficult question, because I personally believe that Vision 2030 today is embodied by every single Saudi citizen. And I don't have the time to cover all 90 million of us on this panel, including us on the panel. So I really encourage you to ask any Saudi citizen how Vision 2030 impacted his or her life, the opportunities that it created, and how it impacted their quality of life. But if I were to choose one example for the time, I'll probably go with the sports sector. As you know, as part of Vision 2030, we worked on unlocking the potential of new sectors, and one of them was the esports and gaming sector. It is a fast-growing sector globally. It relates to the passion of the Saudi youth. So we launched the National Esports Strategy, and a Saudi gentleman named Musa'ad al-Dosari, who was always passionate about esports and was a player himself. Through that strategy, he was able to transform his passion into forming the first Saudi esports professional club. And as part of this national strategy, we hosted the first World Cup for esports in Riyadh. And Musa'id, through his team, was able to win the first esports World Cup in Riyadh. And I was there in the room when he received the World Cup from His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. And it was amazing to see his passion turned into a reality.
Thank you so much, Engineer, and definitely Sajid's like an internationally, globally competitive citizen, and I would like to hear more about that. So I'm going to ask Engineer Anas, how are Saudis becoming globally competitive citizens?
So Saudi have been always competitive. If we go back 50 years ago, 40 years ago, we sent our first astronauts to space. We are leading in oil and gas, in medicine. Saudis are really globally competitive. If you go to Cleveland or Mayo or any prestigious, healthcare provider, you'll find some Saudi physicians over there. But we want to do more. We want to expand our footprint. We want to embrace new opportunities. And then Abdullah just mentioned esports. That's a new arena that we want to compete in. Entrepreneurship as well. We're trying to have an impact on the entrepreneurial ecosystem, not only locally, but on a global scale. So we have a lot of way to go to ensure that we achieve our objectives in global competitiveness. The difference that we have seen today is the drive, the internal drive from the Saudi citizens, especially youth. Saad al-Dawsari, who won the World Cup of esports, is 25, 24 years old. We have seen also other examples in various sectors. One more example on the entrepreneurship and fintech especially. We are the fastest growing market in the region. We have seen a lot of startups, a lot of investment transactions happening. And also, we saw a lot of traction for the programs for upskilling and reskilling. And you'd see people multi-skilling. You'd see physicians trying to do some courses on AI, on digital skills. And this is impacting everything. A few months back, we celebrated the first heart transplant operation that was done using robots. And most of the medical team was Saudi physicians. So this is something that we want to expand and ensure that we address every opportunity in the global economy.
Thank you so much, Engineer. And I bet there's more and more successful stories and globally competitive citizens. Thank you everyone for these great stories and inspiring the vision reflection. This brings us to the fourth section, which is the what. What does the future of Saudi Arabia look like under the vision? We'll start with you, Engineer Abdullah. How do you see Vision 2030 evolving in the next stage?
Thank you, Malak. It's important here to mention that when Vision 2030 was launched in 2016, it was always meant to be delivered along three phases. So in 2025, we're closing phase 2, and early next year, this marks the start of the third and final phase of Vision 2030 implementation. And this is where we will focus on building on the momentum that was created, doubling down on impact realization. But it's also the phase where a lot of the initiatives, projects, especially the large giga projects in Saudi Arabia, such as the Red Sea, the Qiddiya Entertainment City, Dir'iyya, and many others, we will start seeing, and some of them already opened their doors for visitors, and this is where we're going to see them come to life. So it is also a unique opportunity, an exciting time to visit Saudi, either now or in the run-up to 2030, when we would have the chance to host the Expo.
Thank you so much, Engineer, and I've visited the Red Sea, an absolutely beautiful place. Engineer Anas, what future challenges must we overcome to prepare citizens for global success?
So that's a tough question. And, challenges and risks are everywhere. The changes that has happened to the labour market over the past 30 years taught us that we need to be very proactive and ensure that we don't focus on risk rather than opportunities. So labour markets have had so many hits. COVID-19 just a few years back changes a lot of dynamics in the labour market. What we're trying to do is to ensure that resilience is a skill that Saudi citizens have. They can adapt to changes. They can embrace also opportunities in the labour market. We want to make sure that our policies are designed proactively, not responsive to changes in the labour market. And it's obvious that's a global challenge, so we cannot do it alone. We work with our global partners, with the global community. We even hosted a conference in Riyadh, Human Capability Initiative conference on an annual basis. We hosted 2 editions last year and the year before, and next edition is going to be on May next year, and we invite all our global partners to be part of the conversation on addressing what are the challenges and what are the opportunities that the future holds for our human communities. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Engineer. Dr. Khalid, I'll come back to you on the health sector. What future innovation will make a difference for people's lives?
Yes, Malak. These are uncertain times, and innovation is driving in a much rapid way than we're used to. And certainly Saudi Arabia doesn't want to follow, wants to lead in this area. Example that we have, I think, we've launched, for instance, the digital twin in our citizens' health app, so that can advise individuals on the best way to deal with their health. We have also established the first, actually the largest, virtual care hospital in the world, as a Guinness World Record certificate for that, servicing more than 200 plus hospitals and providing almost 100 plus specialties virtually to the citizens of the country. We have performed, as Anas mentioned, the world's first robotic liver transplant surgery, and it's become a routine procedure now. The surgeons who are well trained and were trained in different locations in the world are doing that, as well as the heart surgery. There are now routine procedures done in the country. On a different platform, we're also expediting our clinical trials and research agenda with the Saudi National Institute for Health to stimulate research and innovation. We've embarked on utilizing big data and artificial intelligence to predict disease patterns. I think eventually by preventing disease and being in the forefront of this innovation, I think we'll end up with populations that are healthy and active and happy.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Engineer Fawaz, what future opportunity will the National Transformation Program create for communities?
Okay, so in the upcoming phase of the program, our focus will be on sustainability and reversibility with regards to government excellence and enabling the private sector. The sustainability I'm talking about is having clear documentation, systematic processes, and a continuous improvement cycle. This way we ensure that all of our reforms are built to last and they grow from there. We also incorporate the concept of irreversibility. Whenever we make changes, we're never going back. I talked about the digital services being automated. We will never go back to a paper base. We do this obviously by focusing on the long term instead of short-term solutions or quick fixes. We believe that the systems that we built will yield better services for citizens, faster services, more opportunities for the private sector, and in general, a better quality of life for families living in Saudi Arabia.
Thank you so much, Engineer. That brings us to our final quick round. In one word or two, from your perspective, what will define Saudi Arabia's unique capability by 2030? We'll start with you, Engineer Abdullah.
Thank you, Malak. I think I will build on the value-based characteristics of the Saudi citizen that were designed in the Human Capability Development Program. And these are many, but if I were to choose one, it would be determination. Determination because courage and persistence are enabling Saudis to build a better future and overcome any obstacles they may face. And I would like to conclude by thanking you for giving us this opportunity to share our story with you and with our friends from Japan, where we share a common vision for a better tomorrow.
Thank you so much for joining us, Engineer Abdullah.
So if I had to choose one word, is confidence. Especially you fearless Saudis, not leaving a stone unturned and utilizing every opportunity the Saudi economy is offering. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Khalid, please.
Well, from a health perspective, I guess we're investing a lot in having a healthy population. So it will be healthy aging.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Engineer Fawaz.
I would say sustainability and reversibility.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we began by exploring why Vision 2030 was created, what it has achieved, who is the center of this journey, and we looked ahead, where are we going next? And at the heart of it all is human capability, the power of people to shape a better future and to advance our shared world. Thank you for our speaker for coming all the way from Saudi Arabia to share the vision with us. And thank you to our audience for joining in today. And hopefully we see you in Saudi Arabia at Expo 2030 Riyadh. Thank you.
Engine of any transformation. It is their creativity, their capability, their determination that drive the change. And that takes us directly to the first pillar of Saudi Vision 2030, a vibrant society. This theme, ladies and gentlemen, is about enhancing quality of life, unlocking human potential, and building communities where culture, health, and opportunity thrive. To launch this theme, we will begin with a short video created by the Strategic Management Office. Following that, we will move into a presentation by Abdullah Al-Maghrib, Director of International Communications from the Ministry of Sports, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, exploring how sport is becoming a powerful catalyst for change in the kingdom. From there, we look to the skies with a presentation from Marco Mejia, Acting CEO of King Salman International Airport, who will share the vision for one of Saudi Arabia's most ambitious transformational projects, a global hub for business, travel, tourism, and culture. And to conclude this segment, we will experience an immersive performance from Gidea City, capturing the power of play and the limitless creativity at the heart of a vibrant society. So ladies and gentlemen, the journey starts now. Enjoy.
What makes a society truly vibrant? It's the strength of its people, the richness of its diversity, the well-being of every citizen and resident. This is the heart of our vision, a society built for people to thrive. That's why we're deepening our roots, grounded in the true values of Islam, proud of our heritage, and unified by culture. As the heart of the Arab and Islamic world, we welcome millions of pilgrims and share our values with the world. This deep connection to our history shapes our future. And when our foundations are strong, well-being follows. That's why we're investing in world-class healthcare, expanding access to quality education, and promoting more active lifestyles. Because society thrives when its people do. When people have the care, knowledge, and opportunities to flourish, our home becomes more than just a place to live. It becomes a place where everyone belongs. A reality where well-being is woven into daily life, where people live longer, healthier, and more fulfilled lives. A society that is dynamic, resilient, and full of opportunity. One that nurtures its people and inspires the youth. We're reimagining entertainment on a global scale. We're building world-class sports and lifestyle destinations, and transforming everyday life with open green spaces for all to enjoy. This is a future that will keep evolving, always shaping a vibrant society, always fueling a thriving economy, always driving an ambitious nation forward. Vision 2030, delivering today for a thriving tomorrow.
In the past, the Saudi were spending billions overseas, attending Formula One, the Spanish Super Cup, the Italian Super Cup, and many more. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Abdullah Mahram, Head of International Communication at the Ministry of Sport, and pleasure to speak with you today. Since 2018, the Ministry of Sport hosted over 150 international events, attracted millions of fans from over 130 nationalities. This doesn't show only the economic impact of what we are doing today, but it showcases how we are looking to the next generation of athletes. Let's take, for example, the boxing. The participation in boxing after we start hosting the boxing event increased by 300%. Mass participation in 2017, 14% of our community, they are active in sport. Vision 2030 target to reach 40%. But guess what? Last year, we reached 58% of our community, they are active in sport. I strongly believe that this showcased that sport become part of the lifestyle in Saudi Arabia, and it showcased the efforts that undertaken by the government of Saudi Arabia to make the community healthier. Equally important, women participation in sport. The increase is 400%. Today we are proud to say that we have over 100 female board members in the federation. We have over 700 women football club. We have over 70,000 girls that they are active in the school girls league. This showcases our next generation of athletes. Formula One is one of the most important events in the world. We have over 20,000 students that they are engaged in this event. Tennis, WTA, 60,000 students. They are playing tennis in the school, half of them girls. Today we have a role model. Yazid Rajbi won the Dakar Rally. Masha'al al-Abadan, she won the E1 race, the first ever electric boat race in the world, which started in Saudi Arabia. All these achievement and transformation, it doesn't happen accidentally. It is a story of growth, clear vision, strong leadership, and unstoppable nation. And this is where we stand today. Job creation, 22,000 today in the sports sector. Vision 2030 target to reach 130,000. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome our Japanese friend, Asia, and the rest of the world to come to Saudi Arabia, to experience our culture, and to attend our events, from the tennis to the motorsport, to the Spanish and Italian Super Cup, and many more. Before I leave you with the video, I would like to emphasize that our future is bright, fueled with passion, ambition, and clear vision driven by Vision 2030. Thank you very much.
Highness, Your Excellencies, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Marco Mejia. I'm the acting CEO for King Salman International Airport Development Company. As you can see in the previous video, is what we are working on. It's the most beautiful airport that you are going to see on planet Earth. Let's go with the story. 4 years ago, this dream started becoming true for us. As you know, Vision 2030 was launched in 2016, but for the King Salman International Airport, we started this journey under the mandate of His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. What was the mandate? The mandate was simple. We need to transform aviation. When you think about it, transforming aviation is something that doesn't happen frequently. When we look in perspective, probably aviation hasn't been transformed as an airport for more than 25 years ago. What we are going to do different in order to deliver the best airport in the world? So we have to put together some principles that we need to follow. Which one are the principles? Riyadh identity. What it means, Riyadh identity in an airport that is going to manage 100 million passengers per year by 2030. How are you going to select the right partner to understand what it means the city and the airport as a combination? What we did is we called for an international competition with the best consortia, the best architects in the world, in order to understand the vision from our board and from the leadership of the project. This competition took us for many months to understand the vision of the architects in relationship with the city. Basically, what we need to do is selling Riyadh as soon as you touch the airport. What I mean with that is when you land and you are connecting as a passenger, you are going to be feeling the Riyadh city inside the airport. This process was, as you can imagine, very complex. Good competition, really good companies. Everybody wants to participate in this project. Imagine as an architectural or an engineering firm in the world, you are going to have the opportunity to transform the aviation sector. That happens once in a lifetime. Through this process, we selected a partner. And that partner is here with us, is Foster & Partners, one of the major architectural firms in the world. And as you can see, we have been working together to deliver the first designs and moving into this progress. So now, we can confirm that as soon as you land, you are going to feel Riyadh right at the airport. So that was one of the principles. But well, we have another 7. The next one is the Saudi culture and tradition of hospitality. And I'm going to tell you a really nice story. I don't know if you have been in Saudi before, but it's the people in Saudi, they take care of the guests as I never seen in any part of the world. And I'm going to give you an example how you feel it. When I moved into Riyadh 4 years ago, we went for a dinner with some of my Saudi colleagues. It was a fascinating dinner. We laugh, we enjoy, we have the best dynamic that you have in a dinner. So at the end, I come from a Latin culture and I'm Canadian at the same time. But as a Latin, for us it's extremely important, family and friends and the visitors. So I decided to go and try to pay the bill ahead of time. When I reached the waiter, he told me, please don't do that. Never do that. In the Saudi tradition, they always want to invite you. For me, as a foreigner, it was shocking because I want to give to them. So it was the most amazing experience that you can ever feel. And then when the bill comes, everybody wants to pay for that bill. It's really beautiful to see today that in the world we have the heart and the hospitality of the Saudi culture and the Saudi people. That's something that I always carry in my heart. The third pillar is destination. We are building an airport that is not just for passengers. We want the residents of Riyadh to enjoy their airport. So when you never go back to your airport if you are not traveling. You only go to the airport if you are traveling. So what we are creating is a city within a city. Basically, you want to go on the weekends to enjoy a dinner, have entertainment, and enjoy the experiences that the airport is going to bring to you independently of the location. What a magnificent dinner to have airplanes behind you while you enjoy a fantastic time in your nights. The fourth topic is digital innovation. Something that is extremely close to our heart. When you are traveling, you only are recognized as a passenger at the moment that you enter the airport, and then you left being a passenger when you are taking off. I believe that's not correct. What we need to do is bring the passenger in a journey from the moment the passenger leaves the house all the way to the destination. We are going to be with our passengers all the journey. We want to be sure that they arrive safely wherever the destination they want to go. We want an airport, of course, that is financially sustainable. For that reason, we are going to be open for business. And actually, we already are. We're going to be looking for investments in food and beverage, retail, hangars, MROs, and a lot of products that the airport is going to bring. As I mentioned before, will be a city within a city. So the opportunities are going to be massive. If you look at the numbers, 100 million passengers by 2030 is our ambition. And it's very close to the numbers that I can see today. We are growing the existing airport at 14.5% per year. It's an incredible number when you look into perspective in the normal growth of an airport in a natural way. The normal growth of an airport is 3.5% on a yearly basis. Today, we're talking about 5 times that number. And it's no slow down anytime soon. So from the financial perspective, we want to have a solid business case. Of course, we cannot forget about sustainability. Sustainability is always at the heart of this design. Everything that you see behind comes with core principles of sustainability following LEED design, and we're trying to achieve LEED Platinum and LEED Gold certification. We need to talk a little bit more about what is operational efficiency. Operational efficiency is not going to be only building infrastructure on the ground. We are already redesigning the whole aerospace in Riyadh, so you are going to have efficient landings and efficient takeoffs. What we want is to bring you as fast as possible to your gate, as fast as possible to your destination. And then, finally, let's talk a little bit about passenger experience. When I look at each of you, just think for a moment. We have 3 different journeys in our life. One, when you are traveling by yourself, your journey is completely different. You are looking for efficiency, you want to move fast, you want to jump into your aircraft, and then you want to depart. The priority is you. What happens when you are traveling with your family? When you are traveling with your wife, you are traveling with your husband, you are traveling with your kids. The priority is not you anymore. The priority is your family. And that's the core center of what we want to touch. If we make your family happy, they will be excited and they will be happy. And lastly, what happens when you are traveling with your father and your mother? They need time. They need to feel safe. That's extremely important. So the treatment of that journey will be different. So each of you, when we look at you as a passenger, we're looking at 3 different journeys. So finally, I would like to tell you, welcome to King Salman International Airport. Welcome to the future. Welcome to Riyadh. Welcome to Saudi Arabia. Your journey is your destination. Arigato.
Hello everyone, I'm Mohammed Islam and I'd like to introduce you to a project that dares to exceed every expectation. A project and the city built around a powerful idea, the idea of play. Why build a city around play? Because play is the foundation on how we connect. It sparks creativity, it fuels ambition, and it bridges cultures. Play is a universal language and now is the foundation of an exciting city in Saudi Arabia. Welcome to Qiddiya, the world's first city built on play, built for aspiration and built for unlimited potential. This is a bold undertaking of firsts, a multifaceted city where entertainment, sports and culture embodies the promise of Saudi Vision 2030. Let's take a deeper look. The city is on a scale that we've never seen before. More than 360 square kilometers built entirely for play. And just to put it into perspective, that's around 90,000 Tokyo domes. Located just 40 minutes from Riyadh, the capital of Saudi Arabia, it's close enough to arrive with ease, yet vast enough to really feel like another world. The new city will be a thriving community of 500,000 residents, with hundreds of thousands of jobs, galvanizing the kingdom's entertainment and tourism sectors. Qiddiya is a bold commitment to transform ambition into reality. With more than 400 attractions, Qiddiya will offer a world of wonder all in one place. From record-breaking thrills to global sporting stages to a cultural renaissance. This is the future being built today. This is Qiddiya. Now let's see that vision come to life.
すみません。
Entertainment, sports, and culture, each powerful on its own, but together they create something extraordinary. And this isn't just a dream. Qiddiya City is rising as we speak. Cranes moving, foundations set, the future is taking shape today. This is the kingdom's future, a place where possibility lives and play never ends. We invite you and the world to come play with us. Join us in Qiddiya City 2030. And to commemorate this, we would like to invite the Adobe dancers.
That was an engaging and spectacular showcase by Qiddiya City. It really captured the scale of what is possible when entertainment, sports, culture, nature, and community life are brought together in one destination. That energy, ladies and gentlemen, lead us just perfectly into our second core theme of the event. Here we're talking about thriving economy. From film to fashion, from music to museums, the creative industries not only tell our stories, they create jobs, attract investment, and open new opportunities for growth. To launch this theme, we will begin with a short video highlighting the pillar of a thriving economy, driving innovation, investment, and opportunity for long-term prosperity. followed by a discussion from the Cultural Development Fund titled The 2030 Frontier, Culture as an Economic Powerhouse, moderated by my esteemed colleague Muhammad Islam, host and founder of the Mo Show. Enjoy. Thank you.
Opportunity, innovation, progress, diversification. But a strong economy doesn't just grow, it creates opportunities for all. That's why Vision 2030 is shaping an economy that works for everyone. At the core of this transformation is our ambition to build a future-ready economy, one that is diverse, sustainable, and globally competitive. Saudi Arabia is making this happen. Sitting at the crossroads of 3 continents, we're a global hub where business meets potential. Saudi exports are accelerating. A future built on renewables is taking shape. And with growing international partnerships and increasing economic diversification, we're not just part of the global economy. We're driving it forward. This momentum is powered by real change. Regulations are being simplified, barriers removed, and investment unlocked. Businesses are thriving, industries are expanding, and new opportunities are emerging. Success is no longer reliant on a single source. We're unlocking the potential of high-growth sectors, from advanced manufacturing to sustainable lighting. This is just the beginning. As diversification accelerates, new industries are taking shape, and jobs are emerging in fields once unimaginable. More businesses are rising, and women are playing a greater role in shaping the workforce. We're building a future where every person has the chance to contribute. Where talent is nurtured and ambition fuels progress. A future where Saudi Arabia stands among the world's leading economies. With jobs, investment, and a thriving economy at our core, we're building a foundation for a vibrant society and an even more ambitious nation. Vision 2030, delivering today for a thriving tomorrow.
Today, Saudi Arabia is transforming its centuries of culture and creativity into a powerful driver of economic growth. As part of Saudi Vision 2030, culture is no longer only about preservation, it's about fueling GDP, strengthening national identity, and elevating the kingdom's global presence. From film to fashion, music to museum, the cultural and creative industries are unlocking new opportunities across the country. In this session, we'll hear from senior leaders at the forefront of that transformation. We'll explore the policies creating a fertile environment for growth, the financing solutions such as concessional loans and grants that empower creative entrepreneurs, and digital innovations including AI that are reimagining cultural experiences and expanding audiences worldwide. Together we'll examine the next frontier of cultural-led economic growth in Saudi Arabia. It's my pleasure now to introduce to you today's panelists, leaders who represent the many crucial touchpoints of the kingdom's advancing cultural industries. Each play a vital role in transforming Saudi Arabia's heritage and creativity into into what is now a powerful engine of economic growth. So I'd ask you to please join me in welcoming Basil Al-Alula, who is the Chief Business Officer at the Cultural Development Fund, along with Mr. Walid Al-Dayan, Chief of Strategy and Digital at the Royal Commission of Al-Ula. We also have Ms. Baysan Al-Ajaji, who is the General Manager of Strategy at the Ministry of Culture. And finally, Mr. Jalil Al-Nasser, the General Manager of Sector Development and Investment Attraction at the Film Commission. Welcome all. I'd love to start by asking you guys what it's like being in Japan, you know, for the first couple of days, and I'm sure all of you have amazing experiences, but I'm told that we only have 29 minutes, so maybe we can talk about that at a later point, and now we can get right into it. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining me at this panel today, and everyone in the audience. We'll kick off with a question that involves the growth of Saudi Arabia, which is what makes Saudi Arabia, and I'll start with you, Isan, what makes Saudi Arabia such an attractive and fast-growing hub for cultural businesses and investors, and how does each of your respective areas work to support that growth? Isan.
Thank you so much, Muhammad, and it's a privilege and an honor to be here. I think that's a very excellent question to start with when it comes to cultural economy. Culture has always been in the heart of Saudi Arabia. It has been expressed in art, in literature, in everyday life. What's new today is just the scale and structure of what culture is bringing. From a macro perspective, there are three fundamentals to note. One is from a geographic perspective. Saudi Arabia is in a very pivotal location. It's in the heart of three continents: Asia, Africa, and Europe. From a demographic perspective, 2/3 of the Saudi population is under the age of 35. They're digitally fluent, making them a core component of the cultural palette. And lastly, as a country, we have a very strong vision in place that's setting the foundation for all of the transformation in the country. So to translate this into action, the Ministry of Culture was established back in 2019. The first thing that we've done is we've worked on the National Cultural Strategy to define what culture is and what that means to us. We were aided by the UNESCO framework to define the cultural subsectors, of which led to the development of 11 cultural commissions that lead the delivery of culture. It's important to note that culture has always been the oldest constant in Saudi, but it's its newest frontier today.
Thank you, Isan. And if we were to flip that question to the Film Commission, how are you making Saudi Arabia attractive to get those interested to enter the world of production and film in Saudi Arabia? Could you elaborate a little bit on that?
Well, the Film Commission was born out of the National Cultural Strategy that Alvin Sam has outlined, and our mandate was, and still is, to build the entire value chain of the film sector in Saudi Arabia in a way that is empower growth and it's sustainable. The Film Commission was established in February of 2020, just 1 month before the pandemic. At the time when the whole world was holding their cards very close to their chest to figure out the way forward, we were privileged and we had the opportunity to build our strategy and to build it from scratch and learn from everyone else around the world. So we designed our strategy based on what we call the 6 pillars of the film industry, which is talent development, infrastructure, attraction of international productions, empower local productions, regulation and policies, and distribution and exhibition. Out of each pillar, we designed programs and initiatives to sustain the growth of the film industry. I can name some of these initiatives. For example, we started out at the time of the pandemic, we started virtually with our training development program. We believe that Our manpower and our human capital is our most prized asset. They are the ones who are going to sustain growth, and they are the ones who are going to navigate the uncertainty of the film industry today. The film industry around the world now is facing fast changes. For example, the introduction of AI has disrupted the entire value chain of the film industry. At the same time, competition of streaming with traditional theater cinemas has disrupted the way you distribute films and you consume content. So we believe that human creativity is the cornerstone that's going to help us to navigate our way forward. At the same time, we must also introduce programs that empower international and local productions to sustain themselves and also to incentivize them to choose Saudi Arabia as a destination. So we introduced, for example, our incentive program, which provides up to 40% of cash rebate on qualifying expenditure spent inside the country. These programs, which are born out of our strategic pillars, are in alignment with the national cultural strategy and feed into the general umbrella of creating a sustainable and strong cultural sector of the country.
Thank you. Bassem, you're the Chief Business Officer of the Cultural Development Fund. So with all things related to CDF, when it comes to making Saudi an attractive place for people to come do business and invest in, what kind of efforts have been made there?
So, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Ahmed, panelists, my colleagues. I believe that within CDF, within the entire cultural ecosystem, we are blessed to a very large extent because of the simple fact that we get to work along with all of the 11 commissions as well as the Ministry of Culture. What that enables us to do is to better understand the entire ecosystem from a pure financial, economic standpoint, as well as all of the requirements, if you will, in terms of enablement for those with the intention of whether entering or for a pure central educational type. Talking about the attractiveness of the cultural sector within the kingdom, it simply comes down to the following. The contribution of the cultural sector back in 2019 accounted for 0.3% of the entire GDP. The aspirational goal set by the end of 2030 is for the cultural sector to contribute 3% of the entire GDP of the kingdom. So if you just look at that in terms of perspective, we're talking about approximately anything between 48 billion to 53 billion US dollars by the end of 2030 versus $3.7 billion of what it constituted back in 2019. It is, as my colleagues pointed out, the ministry itself was established in 2018, so it gives some kind of perspective on how young the entire sector is actually. So it is the right time, it is extremely vast, it's fast-paced, dynamic and growing. If ever there was a time to invest, this would definitely be it.
Waleed, I'm just seeing the beautiful images behind us of Al-Ula, and I've said it publicly many times, it's maybe one of my favorites, if not my favorite place in the world. And you lead strategy and digital at RCU. What kind of investments have you seen coming through RCU by way of culture or the many beautiful hotels that we see on the screen? Can you tell us about what RCU has seen in that front?
Thank you, Muhammad, and my fellow panelists and our honorable guests. Al-Ula is a cultural landscape at the northwest of Saudi Arabia. It's a place for ancient civilizations throughout history, and it's in the incense road for the ancient trade roads throughout civilizations. 60,000 residents live in Al-Ula with the aim of reaching 2 million visitors by 2035. Al-Ula Master Plan Journey Through Time has created 5 cultural districts within Al-Ula that enables about 15 cultural assets that entrench how Al-Ula values learning and exchange and cultural diplomacy. Since 2018, many international partnerships with the global powerhouses of culture, such as France and Italy and China, but also international organizations such as the UNESCO and the IUCN and the World Bank make Al-Ula a place that values and commit to education and again cultural exchange with the world. In addition to that, our partnership with the Cultural Development Fund sits at a number of enablers, such as more than 3,000 small to medium enterprises, about 400 artisans that are well trained to take up crafts to a commercial level. The also partnership with CDF made at least more than 170 shoot or film production within Al-Ula, and that's due to the beauty of the landscape of Al-Ula and the value of cultural grade within Al-Ula. That's not only limited to, for example, archaeology and heritage, but it goes beyond that. Madrasa Al-Mira, the school for crafts and artisans in Al-Ula, have trained more than 200 of the local community of Al-Ula because we believe that they are core for our success, and we believe the collection of this as an example of how culture can be an economic driver and force for growth.
Isan, I'm going to pick your brain on a few things because you guys at the Ministry of Culture just do not sit still. There's always something happening, mashallah. Vision 2030 obviously has been a catalyst for the cultural transformation. But from your perspective, what do you think has been the most powerful driver so far that has fueled this change?
That's a very difficult question because there are so many powerful drivers and it's hard to just pick one. But for the sake of today's panel, I'll pick the closest one to my heart, which is revolved around the human and the human-centric approach. From a talent development perspective, the ministry is leading a lot of initiatives at that front, one of which is scholarships, which is sending young Saudis to globally leading schools in culture, including Japan, of course, with professional degrees, in addition to opening and enhancing cultural departments in universities back home, opening new centers specialized, such as a music institute or the fashion institute, and the numerous programs and training possibilities that are open to the public and professionals. The ripple effect is that is very immense. One point to mention is the major societal shift that we've noticed. An interesting element that we've noticed is there was a statistical study that was done when the ministry was established back in 2018, and we ran the same statistical study a couple of years ago, and we noticed over 30% shift of the importance in culture in the Saudi nationals. So what does that mean? That many of the families who previously just encouraged their kids to study medicine or engineering are now equally respecting cultural degrees as a career and a platform for their kids. So this is creating a empowering talent, but also a workforce that's ready for all of the new jobs that the Ministry of Culture has a target to create over 100,000 jobs by 2030. So it's an exciting opportunity, many driving forces. It's centered in the human, as the Vision 2030 itself is centered around the human and the people and the nation.
This is unprecedented movements. Away from the numbers and the projects, what do you think this does by way of the legacy that it leaves behind 20, 30, 40 years from now?
So the legacy that's being built is both tangible and enduring. On one level, it's about safeguarding heritage. For example, we talked about the Al-Ula as a UNESCO heritage site. We have over 6 UNESCO heritage sites, and you've mentioned how excited and how amazing to be able to visit those places. On another lens, it's about creating the living ecosystem from creative hubs such as JAX, where it includes galleries, art studios, music studios, film studios as well, and ensuring that hub is thriving with different mindsets and ensuring that everyone's collaborative and taking culture further. From introducing global biennales, where we've launched 2 global biennales, Contemporary Art Biennale and the first ever Islamic Biennale, which was the most visited biennale globally. From the National Orchestra, which is my favorite example of cultural exchange, and they performed in Tokyo also a few years ago. So what we're doing is really professionalizing this creativity and making sure it's there for our generation and the next generation. What's unique really is that the dreams of our parents are now being at a central stage. We're living their dreams and we're making it even richer for our children and kids.
The Jalil, I mean, you guys at the Film Commission as well don't know how to sit still. In 2018, we had 0 screens in Saudi Arabia by way of cinemas, and backstage you were telling me we have 600 plus. What has been the major highlight, would you say, for this rapid growth in recent years? And what opportunities does it present to future investors who want to come and invest in Saudi Arabia?
Well, the value chain of the film sector in Saudi Arabia have witnessed an accelerated growth almost in every aspect of every sector within the value chain. If I can start with the example you mentioned, before 2018, the country did not have any cinema theaters. When the cinema theater reopened in April of 2018, if you fast forward today, we have more than 640 screens that reached out 20 cities, and over the span of 7 years, our box office generated more than 5 billion Saudi riyals. And this was done really literally in only 7 years, and we are also today the #1 box office in the Middle East. This accelerated growth also has allowed the box office in Saudi Arabia to become organically diverse. So if you take, for example, any week in the box office, you take the top 10 films in any week, you would see at least 3 to 5 films from different nationalities. In fact, the last 2 weeks, the top film in Saudi Arabia is a Japanese animation, Demon Slayer, which is now the trending film in the country. If you go at the front, if you look at this transformation, the part that we are very proud of is the participation of our local content within the box office. As of this week, we had 13 films this year alone in the box office of Saudi Arabia, generated more than 121 million, which amount to around 17% of total revenue box office. This accelerated growth and percentages of local content in box office was empowered by other programs we have introduced, like I mentioned earlier, the talent development program, the training and the incentive program. If I move to the infrastructure front, we have seen an accelerated development of infrastructure facilities across the country. State-of-the-art sound stages are developed and actually operational now in Al-Ula, in Neom, and we have more than 10 sound stages in Riyadh. And in fact, one of our latest sound stages featured virtual production technology, which is one of the most advanced in the world, that was done in partnership with a prestigious and a global Japanese brand, Sony. We have empowered the facility with more than 2,000 screens that were manufactured by Sony, and now they are ready to operate within the country. If you look at for example, the event front, we have inaugurated the Red Sea Film Festival in 2021, and now it has become one of the leading film festivals in the region. We have our own Saudi Film Forum, a trade show specialized in connecting the private sector and accelerating the growth of all the value chain now. It's going to inaugurate the 3rd edition this year. We have a film critic forum specialized only in film criticism to ignite this art form. This entire acceleration is nothing short of a transformation, and it has put Saudi Arabia in the global map as a destination for international productions.
I love that. Thank you so much. I love hearing that the #1 movie in Saudi Arabia right now in the box office is the Japanese movie. I think it's very fitting with the timeline of where we are right now. That's amazing to see that Saudis are interested in not just maybe local movies or Hollywood movies, but also foreign movies as far out as Japan and elsewhere. Basa, I'm coming back to you now. with regards to the Cultural Development Fund. When it comes to leveraging financial and enablement solutions to empower small and medium enterprises across the cultural value chain, while at the same time adopting a strategic ESG-driven approach to ensure the sector's long-term sustainable growth in Saudi Arabia. There's a lot of moving parts there, but you are Mr. Numbers. So what are we doing in that regard to enable ESG-driven approaches to ensure long-term sustainability growth in Saudi Arabia?
So a couple of things that go into place. You touched a lot of very important parts within that question. ESG is intrinsically embedded in everything that we do. So it is never actually looked at or considered on a standalone basis. It is part of every consideration, whether we're looking at financing, whether we're looking at investment, and when we say financing, I mean lending, and or the final pillar, which is enablement. So the main focus today within CDF is to cater to the needs and requirements of SMEs within the kingdom. That being said, they fall into three main categories. This is finance, enablement services, and or business development, if you will. Finance we do in two main ways. We do it through lending for investment, where we invest. The second way is through enablement services, which is accelerators, incubators, vouchers, and any kind of financial enablement in kind. Last but not least is business development. My fellow panelists have touched upon a couple of examples where this tight collaboration within the entire ecosystem of the government and semi-government body exists. And that is one of the main pillars where we always try to unlock and at the same time address the wider requirement of the entire ecosystem. We have dissected the entire cultural sector into three different sectors, if you will. Sustainable, partially sustainable, and non-sustainable. The partially sustainable and sustainable are mainly catered to through financing services, while the non-sustainable is catered through enablement services. What do we mean by sustainable or non-sustainable? It mainly comes down to the value chain of that specific sector being commercially viable, where it is sustainable or partially sustainable. And if the majority of the value chain is not commercially viable, then it is non-sustainable. How do we ensure, to a very large extent, the longevity of those that operate within the cultural sector? Is by fine-tuning and having specific solutions that cater to different needs of different entrepreneurs and different life cycles of their journey, if you will. So a new startup will not be catered to immediately with loans, ensuring their ability to repay, their financial understanding of financial obligations, better cash flow management, etc. So in a nutshell, we ensure that proper customization and catering to is done. I'll give just a very few quick examples. Since the inception, we have financed more than $133 million worth. More than 150 beneficiaries have benefited from these loans. We've covered more than 8 regions, and we're targeting, hopefully, before the end of the year, to cover the entire 13 regions within the kingdom. Last but not least, we have helped create more than 6,200 jobs up to date.
Very impressive, very, very impressive. We're going to get back to speaking about Al-Ala, love of my life. How's RCU positioning heritage and culture, not only as tourism assets, but also as drivers for wider economic diversification?
The cultural landscape of Al-Ula allows for growth
that is embedded by economic diversification. That includes the values of industries that are first led by the tourism, but also supported by other supporting industries such as agriculture. The agriculture in Al-Ula is the second industry after tourism. We spoke earlier about the handicrafts and the art and creative industries. We also think continuously with digital as one important also enabler for the various industries. Digital twin, for example, when it comes to development and construction, but also when it comes to preserving the landscape to welcome visitors. So we deploy and utilize technologies such as geolocation, AI-powered monitoring. The size of Al-Ula is about 22,000 square kilometers, and half of it is a protected area. We have 5 nature reserves within Al-Ula. So we believe the combination of these, for example, technology and digital is also a driver for economic growth. For the visitor aspect, for example, we also deploy the various technologies that also utilize AI. Experience Al-Ula is one of them, through a website for the application, but also for our residents within Al-Ula. Also the digital services we believe is an important driver for economic also diversification. In 2025, Al-Ula has become one of the smart cities recognized globally by the IMD Smart City Index. And we believe that is a continuation for Al-Ula commitment for excellence, but also for economic diversification, because the IMD index is also focused on the quality of life aspects for also visitors and residents.
I've seen some of the infrastructural plans, driverless trains, amongst many other things, has really put Al-Ula in a position to be a smart, future-ready region, inshallah, and so much to look forward to over there. Thank you. Let's close with this question. I'll start with you, Abdul Jalil. As Saudi moves boldly towards 2030, what message would you like to share with global investors, creatives, and cultural institutions about why now is the moment to engage with the kingdom's cultural renaissance?
Saudi Arabia has all the ingredients to become a global hub of cultural activation and renaissance. But if I have to pick 2 factors, number one, we have all talent. Talent that is educated, they are immersed in culture. They are not only consumers of content, but they also have been actively producing it. So there is a huge potential there to develop and to tap into this raw talent. At the same time, there is an institutional and governmental commitment to grow and sustain this sector in the future. This commitment, I believe, is a trust that can be built between the government and all the investors who are looking to enter the market in Saudi Arabia.
Thank you. Bisan, Ministry of Culture, you guys work with a lot of creatives, artists, I would imagine some investors as well. What's your message for them who are looking to Saudi Arabia as a place to do business with?
So cultural renaissance is not an aspiration. It's happening now. The institutions are there. The talent is thriving. The ecosystem is living. So we invite global investors not just to witness the cultural transformation, but to be part of it.
And Waleed at the RCU, what's your message to those who want to come to Saudi Arabia and really look at it as a place where they can see lots of opportunity within, let's say, within the region of Al-Ula? What's your message to those people?
My message is to come and explore Saudi Arabia's rich and diversified culture and the beauty of the uniqueness of the landscape of Saudi Arabia. Al-Ula is also one of Saudi Arabia's hidden gems that we would like the world to come and see and experience.
Ambassador.
We're a very young, dynamic, welcoming culture, a very vibrant society that has various differences amongst the various 13 regions of the kingdom. And I welcome everyone to visit Saudi Arabia and enjoy it just as we've had the privilege of enjoying Japan and its culture. Thank you.
Lady and gentlemen, it was an honor to have this discussion with you. Thank you so much for your time. I'm so proud to hear of all the efforts and the work that you have put into your respective government entities. And one more round of applause for this fantastic panel. Thank you to everyone. Hope you enjoyed that panel as much as I did. It was wonderful to lean into the intersection between our kingdom's rich heritage, innovation, and policy making that empowers creativity and fuels growth for cultural industries. So we'll continue with the theme of a thriving economy by turning our focus now to the monumental projects that are literally building the future of Saudi Arabia. Those initiatives are pivotal in diversifying the nation's economy by way of generating employment opportunities and enhancing the kingdom's reputation as a premier destination for trade and tourism. So our next panel is titled Building the Future, Transforming Cities and Connecting Lives. Please join me in welcoming back our moderator for this discussion, Ms. Wiam Al-Dakhili.
Session titled Building the Future, Transforming Cities, Connecting Lives. You know, cities are more than buildings of steel and glass. They are where culture thrives, where communities connect, and where also opportunities are created. Today, Saudi Arabia is shaping cities that tell a new story to the world, build developments that balance innovation with identity and ambition with sustainability. From reimagining heritage to creating next generation destinations, these projects are redefining how the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia will be experienced by its people and by the world. So now it's my pleasure to welcome my esteemed panelists, Hashim Al-Dabbagh, Chief Executive Officer, Asir Development Authority, and we have also with us Karl Chibrowski, Chief Development Officer, New Murabba, Talal Sahrani, Chief of Staff, King Salman International Airport, Saud Al-Sabhan, Vice Governor of Entrepreneurship, Munsha'at, which is the Small and Medium Enterprise General Authority, and also with us, Thamir Sadoun, Deputy Chief Executive Officer, Expo 2030 Riyadh Company. Welcome, gentlemen. Hello. with us. I have papers here on the chair. Can we have them back, please? The papers on the chair. We have papers on the chair. Can we have them back? Hello, gentlemen. How are you? Have a seat, please. Yes, thank you. All right. How are you, all of you? Feeling good? Amazing. Okay, to start with you, Hashim. You represent a region of mountains, culture, heritage, and UNESCO heritage. Let's underline that. How is the region shaping its identity within Saudi Arabia's urban transformation?
Konnichiwa. Gives me pleasure to be a participant in Expo Osaka. Yes, I represent the Asid region. It is a region, one of 13 regions in Saudi Arabia in the southwest. It is not very different in size from Hokkaido Island. It is famous for having a diversity of topography, so it has coasts, it has escarpments, it has high mountains, mountain peaks reaching 3,000 meters, and it has plateaus and it has deserts, and you can experience all of them within the span of a couple of hours. The weather in some parts of Asid is really very pleasant, and so this area has been a destination for domestic visitors as well as regional visitors for decades. We are very fortunate that Asid has an approved strategy. Actually, it's the first and only region so far that has an approved strategy. So this is very helpful to us in getting support from the center of government and having the budgets and so on and so forth. And the vision for that strategy is to be a preeminent year-round destination. This strategy is well underway, so it gives me pleasure to say that the number of tourists coming into Asid has increased by 12% this past year and the previous year as well. There's an approved airport for the region, which has a very unique design in line with the traditional architecture of the region. It's going to raise the capacity from about 1.5 million today up to 10 million in phase 1 and then 13 million in phase 2. And of course, Abha, the capital of Asid, is going to be one of the Saudi cities hosting the World Cup 2034. So a lot of exciting things happening in Asid.
Absolutely, and really bold strategy as well. Now, from Asid, we move to Riyadh, among the world's fastest growing capitals, and it is building an entirely new downtown. Carl, what's the story behind New Murabba, and why this project really matter at this stage in Riyadh's transformation?
Well, as you say, New Murabba is planned to be the new modern downtown for Riyadh, which is a very established city on the way to being 8 million people, and on the way to being the capital of the region, the GCC, the Middle East. And we take a very profound sense of responsibility for taking the city and enhancing it and looking to the future. Now, the Murabba comes from Al-Murabba, which was a small area of land that was outside of the existing fortress city walls in the old city of Riyadh. And King Abdulaziz had a vision, which was to look beyond the defensive nature of the city and build a new modern place for the city. And it became in an area called Al-Murabba, which was about 16 hectares and around about 400 metres square. And then you take this idea and you project it into the future, and what that town square really was. And it was forward-looking. In its day, it had air conditioning, lifts, a steel frame structure, and a new way of really looking at how the modern kingdom would be governed and run. So we take that responsibility looking at the next century of the kingdom, and New Murabba being the new vision for that. So we take the 400 metre square and it becomes a cube. So it's really sort of taking that and bringing that into 3 dimensions, and this is a gateway to another world. And then this is surrounded by a network of wadis, a linear park system that connects with the Wadi Hanifa, which is the ancient watercourse that Riyadh is based on. So we're very much rooted in what it is to be Riyadh, the essence of the city, the culture of the kingdom, but we're forward-looking.
Absolutely, and if we go on a larger scale, Riyadh is also reimagining how people move and connect. And King Salman International Airport is technically at the center of that. As an aerotropolis, what does that mean and translate into daily life of people, business, and the city itself?
Assalamu alaikum. Glad to be here with my colleagues and gentlemen. Riyadh, King Salman International Airport is not only an airport. It is a testament and a symbol of a commitment of growth in Saudi Arabia. From day one, we agreed that we will not just build a new airport or a new airport. Riyadh deserves a destination fully integrated to support Riyadh and connect it properly to the rest of the world. It's going to be one of the first airports in the world where you can enter without boarding pass, and you can enjoy the different offerings that we offer to everyone, to all citizens of Riyadh. On the economy scale, we are committing to provide more than 100,000 jobs, direct and indirectly. We will build also a capacity of 2 million tons of cargo, which will give Riyadh a larger scale of offering to its citizens.
And that was also reflected in Marco Mejia, the acting CEO of King Salman International Airport, where he had a great presentation today with us. Okay, that vision of such promising project designed for people and opportunity lead us directly to the entrepreneurs who bring cities to life. Now, with Saudi Arabia investing heavily in gaming, fintech, clean energy, and tourism, which sector do you believe holds the most and strongest opportunity in the coming 5 years?
Well, I think we are looking for investment tech. I will give you the answer. Saudi Arabia is facing and witnessing a huge growth in multiple sectors. Today, for example, many of my colleagues already discussed, for example, tourism in Asir, PropTech in Morocco, logistics in King Salman Airport, and many others in media entertainment. And there is lots of other opportunities in multiple sectors. But there is a recipe for success. Anyone who would like to come and invest, because they need entrepreneurs and startups. 90%, I guarantee, 90% of the deal flow that will happen to develop these projects are going for startups and SMEs. And the recipe for success is two things. First, collaboration. Second is seasoning. You better season your project or startup with culture or sustainability. These are the golden rules to succeed in trade.
Well, I want to ask you now on a personal level, beyond numbers, and we will take what you said as an open invitation to everyone here and to the world. Now, which Saudi startup has personally inspired you, and what does it relieve also about the future of the ecosystem in Saudi Arabia?
I would like to say, to give examples of really inspiring startup, not from Saudi Arabia, from Japan.
Okay, this is more
came to Saudi Arabia and started, two subsidiaries who came from Japan to Saudi Arabia. It's a good example. One of them is Kila Drone. They got an investment by One Adventure, which is owned by Saudi Aramco. Another one is Edge Cortex. It's an AI semiconductor design company who started in Riyadh this year. There are great opportunities for entrepreneurs and startups to come and invest in Saudi Arabia, and the opportunities just growing bigger and bigger for everyone.
There's no doubt. Absolutely. Well, from entrepreneurs driving the change within the kingdom to the stories Saudi Arabia will share with the world. You know, world expos are gateways for storytelling. And Expo 2030 Riyadh arrives at the moment where Saudi Arabia is going through drastic national transformation. What story, Thamer, will this Expo tell about the nation and, most importantly, its people?
Thank you, I'm happy to be with you here today in Osaka. So Expo 2030 will tell the story of our transformation. Today we listened to my colleagues, especially in the first session, talking about the transformation that is happening in Saudi, be it the social change, economical change, unlocking new sectors, growing existing sectors. So this is a chance for us to tell that story and to bring work together to problem solve and imagine the future. Expo 2030 will be held under the theme Foresight for Tomorrow. So more than 195 countries, 29 international and local organizations will come together to reimagine the future and problem solve. And our invitation for them to come to Riyadh, not only for us to showcase the transformation that we have been through, but also for them and countries to visit Saudi and experience our country as it is today. A bold country, collaborative country that is leading on a global stage.
Absolutely. Well, you know, the story of any national transformation ties back to the regions driving it. Hashim, can you share with us the flagship developments ASEAN region will transform its main cities? We want to hear more about.
There are several flagship programs that are unfolding as we speak in Saudi Arabia generally and in ASEAN specifically. I only want to talk about two of them, as a matter of fact. The first is called Suda Peaks. This is arguably the most iconic and beautiful part of Saudi Arabia. It's very mountainous, it's very green.
Just like the picture behind
you. Just like the pictures behind me, and just like yesterday morning, I woke up early, traveled north of Osaka, and hiked in the Mino area to see the waterfalls there. So it's not very different from that.
You had time for all this.
Yes, it's very important to do that. I do that in ASEAN, I do that here in Japan as well. So many of these peaks are very high, they reach close to 3,000 meters. This project aims to mostly preserve this area, but 6 areas have been selected for very tasteful development that includes residential as well as accommodation and hospitality. This has been called Beverly Hills of Saudi Arabia, so very, very nice. All the architecture is in line with the traditional style that has been in the region for a very long time. And the size of the investment is north of 10 billion riyals. So in the next years, we're going to see something very remarkable. The other project, which is actually very close to my heart, it's called Al-Wadi by the Abdallah company. And this is in the capital of the ASEAN region, Abha. Abha, a long time ago, used to be a number of villages along a river, a small river, or a waterway, year-round waterway. At some point in time, a dam was put up, and so this waterway was no longer year-round. And so we will bring back this waterway, which runs from one side of Abha to another. There will be a river in Saudi Arabia. It's going to be a little over 4 kilometers long as a whole. On either bank of this river, there's going to be residential, agricultural, commercial, cultural developments. It is all geared towards pedestrians because the weather of Abha allows that. So excellent for walking and jogging and well-being, this type of life. The style is very beautiful. It merges the modern with the traditional in that region. And again, the size of the investment is quite substantial. Again, it is north of 10 billion riyals, which is over about $2.5 billion US. These are only 2 of the investments. There are many others, but very exciting things that are happening in ASEAN.
Absolutely, no doubt, you know. And this will lead me to ask about, when you meet with global investors and partners, what one thing you would tell about the ASEAN that really captures their attention and they're more curious to know about that region?
I love this question. In our conversations with international investors, they have been very intrigued by the opportunity in Asidi. So it gives me pleasure to say that in this year, 2025, the Asidi Development Authority actually reached its 2030 targets in terms of incoming private sector investment within the region. What attracts them? Attracts them the strategy that is well underway. Attracts them is the unique proposition of Asidi within Saudi Arabia. And giving a bit of credit to ourselves, I think they're attracted by the tight governance and organization that is in place so that their investments succeed.
Interesting. Well, we go now from Asi's transformation to Riyadh rapid growth. Carl, New Murabba is described as a vibrant, intelligent, future-ready downtown. Now, how does that vision reflect into everyday life of visitors, workers, and residents on the ground?
Yeah, at New Murabba, we've got a huge opportunity with the wind at our back as far as the demographics that are in the kingdom and the opening up to international residents and investors coming into the city. So what we're putting together is a series of investable opportunities across 14 different communities. And within those communities, they are put together as genuine mixed-use communities. So there's 15-minute walkable cities where pretty much all of your daily requirements are within a walkable distance. And we're targeting the residential, the workplace, at the growing demographic as it comes through, and there's big changes in the makeup of households. But the cities that are most interesting and the ones that we love to visit have a reasonable concentration of density. So we're putting people together, but with all of these activities, cultural, health and well-being, educational, and then also very much layered up with transport. So that ability to connect people together. And so it's all anchored by the Mukab, which will be an activator having over 100.
This is the Mukab.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So this is the 400-metre cube that is inside as the gateway to another world, which will have the world's largest digitally immersive environment. It is. Some people might know the Sphere in Las Vegas. This could contain the Sphere 52 times within it. So it's a huge space, but it's also essentially it's like having the Eiffel Tower sitting on top of the world's third largest retail mall, surrounded by 4 Empire State Buildings and having a 16-hectare section of Central Park on top of it. So it'll be a way of really drawing people together, and we're anticipating over 110 million people will visit each year. But all surrounding that is a very genuine, community-based, amenity-driven urban downtown.
Well, let me ask, it's a personal question. As the Chief Development Officer of the New Murabba project, when you sit down with your team and talk about the title of our session, Transforming Cities and Building the Future, what are really you're thinking about? What comes at the top of your mind when you tackle that?
Well, we have a fantastically diverse group of very talented people that are bringing New Murabba to life, and we had a great town hall just last week. But standing up with the team there, it's really to say we have a profound responsibility. We're investing capital for the kingdom's future, and it's really all about. We have many competing priorities. We need to make sure we have a solid financial return, but we have to deliver on sustainability. We have to deliver on livability. We have to deliver on great transport. We've got to deliver exceptional design outcomes that are deeply rooted in Saudi culture. So I guess the key message to the team is that we have a lot of priorities to balance, and the only way to think about this is having an approach of excellence. No compromises. We need to continue to push and really strive for the exceptional.
Absolutely. Well, now, on a global scale, King Salman International Airport is preparing to handle 1 million passengers by 2030. Am I right with the numbers? Okay. How will that change the way Riyadh moves, trades, and connect with the world?
Great. As I mentioned before, we are building the capacity of 2 million ton cargo. Recently, we signed a very strategic deal with FedEx to start handling the regional operations from Riyadh, and more to come with major partner players in the same field. We are building the right infrastructure for cargo, for trades, for companies, so they can operate in our land. As everyone knows that Saudi is like the fast-growing market in e-commerce. So we need to have the right infrastructure to support all this demand, to support Riyadh's business.
Well, I have to ask you, to make this happen, what is the biggest risk to achieving this capacity and how you are preparing for it?
In fact, we have so many risks and challenges. If I have to mention one, it is the fact that we are at brownfield projects. So we are building on top of operational airport. So that's why we are integrating our plans with the current terminals and the current operations. We know Saudi and Riyadh specific are hosting global events and major events like Expo2030, we have the World Cup 2034 and other more events. So we build and we deliver assets as we go. Okay, so we have a phase-out approach delivery. Okay, as I said, whenever an asset is needed, it will be delivered to fulfill and to support that needed capacity.
Can you highlight some fundamental partnerships and international expertise that have been truly instrumental into turning the Eurotropolis into reality?
Okay. Our mandate is to build an airport. The advantage that we have that we came late to the game and we learned a lot from other destinations and other airports. Therefore, we are working with the top leaders, okay, in each industry. For example, Foster and Partners as an architect, and by the way, they are the one who designed the Saudi pavilion here in Saka, and I encourage everyone to go and visit the Saudi pavilion. We also have delivery partners who have a great experience in building airports around the world, for example, Bechtel, Parsons. Additionally, we have, within the company, we have the good talents and the good experience, okay, to develop this project.
All right, from global partners, shaping King Salman International Airport soon, when it comes to entrepreneurs, how can Saudi founders and international investors come together, collaborate more effectively, whether in co-founding ventures, research, or expanding into each other's markets?
Well, innovation is really a tricky part. I think it's a global challenge to solve for deep tech innovation internationally. But what is the proper solution? It's collaboration. Collaboration with other ecosystem where they have R&D and expertise and talent to solve for those problems. And we do that by, exposing the challenges that we have in Saudi Arabia. For example, the World Cup, Entrepreneurial World Cup, where we attract 10,000 startups from 151 countries already participated this year to solve 4 problems and to get an award $1.5 million. And that is celebrated in a networking event. This is another important platform. We have to have a networking event to bring startups and entrepreneurs from all over the world, get exposed to the challenges, they have their innovation, interact with the investors in one platform. And this is done. And we have multiple events throughout the year done by different entities, government and non-government as well. Because what we have is also the market. We have a market size for R&D and also for deep tech innovation that is quite massive compared with the international standards. We have $1.5 trillion for NEO, and we have 1 trillion, almost 1 trillion for PIF companies who are looking for innovation. This is a very promising, let's say, a platform for international companies.
There's no doubt, and Saudi Arabia is now on the global map for founders. What makes it a magnetic sphere for international entrepreneurs, and what are the barriers they should actually be prepared to navigate?
We have in Saudi Arabia 4 advantages. The first is the market, and previously explained, and much more bigger opportunities discussed by my colleagues here at the table. Second is that we have the vision. The vision is bringing the government, the private sector, the investors, the entrepreneurs, speaking the same language. And this is very crucial and important for any sustainable and stable market. The third thing is the investment. We have an investment appetite for venture capital. Last year alone, we became number 1 in the region, and with $750 million in investments in 1 year. Fourth, and last but not least, is the welcoming culture. So we welcome entrepreneurs and investors to the region. And this is really important and crucial for any entrepreneur who would like to expand. What is, the weaknesses that we have and the challenges, first is the talent. Access to talent, and this is also an opportunity for international talent to come to work in Saudi Arabia. Second is the R&D centers and the, let's say, sophisticated system for innovation. Also, this is another opportunity for collaboration. But the assumption of, for example, regulatory and laws and disputes in Saudi Arabia is not really a challenge, because we have the commercial certification center, which usually helps to solve for any disputes between two parties under any law that they choose. They can solve for disputes in the Japanese law.
Thank you for bringing this under the spotlight. So now, to you, Tamer, World Expo 2030 Riyadh carries the theme, Foresight for Tomorrow. Let's imagine this together. When visitors walk through the gates in World Expo 2030 in Riyadh, how will they physically feel that vision?
Well, I think the visitor experience first is at the heart of what we're doing. And we want to make sure that the visitors will have the best experience, and that will hopefully they will have the best impression even when they start to plan to come to the expo. So not even when they go through the gates. Now when they arrive to King Salman new airport, the expo will be only one stop through metro from the airport. When you arrive to the site, we have a 6 million square meter of an area for the expo. And then we have 5 districts that represents the 3 sub-themes we have. Transformative technology, sustainable solutions, and prosperous people. And these 5 districts will have future technologies, be it on smart cities, smart mobilities, and the visitors that will visit, and we expect to have 42 million visits over 6 months. That's huge. That's an average of 230,000 visitors a day, and the peak can go up to 400,000 visits a day.
Okay, being here at World Expo 2025 in Osaka, surrounded by cultural diversity, innovation, creativity, and way beyond that, what has resonated with you on a personal level when you just think about the size and the scale and the vision of what Riyadh will deliver in 2030 Expo?
So this is my 4th time here in Expo Osaka, and I first need to acknowledge and congratulate our host for a job well done. And every time I come here, I think it resonates with me how important both expos are. It gives you hope, and when you go to visit countries, visit pavilions, where you problem solve together, you experience culture, food, music, and that shows why it's more important than ever in the world we live in today to have such events. So as Expo Osaka is coming to a closure next month, we are ready in Riyadh Expo 2030 to carry the torch and continue the dialogue and the discussion and host the world in an unprecedented expo in 2030 that will bring 197 countries together.
Interesting. Thank you so much. We have come to an end for our session. Thank you, gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, please, a big round of applause for our esteemed panelists. This conversation inspired by the scale, the vision, and the sophistication of all these projects that are shaping Saudi Arabia's cities and projects for the future. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. And for us, we have please. Thank you. Thank you all. And now, ladies and gentlemen, before that, I just want to tell you all roads are taking you to Riyadh Expo 2030, and we look forward to welcoming you all as we look ahead. And this is so relevant, where we will take you to Riyadh through a very special video, a preview of what the world can expect when the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia hosts World Expo 2030. Let's watch it together.
The power of human foresight. To explore, to learn, to connect, to dream. From the first steps of our ancestors to the leaps we take today, this spirit has driven us forward. Over the centuries, the world has come together to celebrate that spirit, igniting progress, inspiring breakthroughs, and uniting people across continents. And now, it's our time to welcome the world. We invite you to join us in shaping a better, brighter future. Expo 2030 Riyadh will invite the world to imagine what lies ahead. Nations, innovators, and creators will come together to envision a future where people prosper, where sustainability leads, and technology transforms. This is a living crossroads of cultures, ideas, and ambitions. Powered by collaboration and optimism. And we welcome you with open arms. To build a future grounded in foresight and guided by possibility. Join us in Riyadh to create, connect, and contribute as we journey towards Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030. This is an expo
captures the scale and the vision of Saudi Arabia's ambition for the future. And this brings us perfectly to the third pillar of Saudi Vision 2030. Here we're talking about an ambitious nation focused on building effective governance, accountability, and leadership, not only within our borders, but on world stage. At the center of this ambition is sustainability. Our last panel of the day addresses this global imperative, giving us the opportunity to understand Saudi Arabia's leadership in protecting its environment and biodiversity as a cornerstone of Saudi Vision 2030. It will also showcase how the kingdom is advancing global sustainability, aligning with international climate goals. This panel will be led by our esteemed moderator, Dr. Halima Al-Amri, Director of the Energy Technology Observatory Department at the Ministry of Energy. But first, please turn your attention to the screen for a video curated by the Strategic Management Office. Let's watch. Thank you.
What makes a nation truly ambitious? It's about creating an environment where no dream is too big and no challenge is too great. Where people from all walks of life work together to achieve something greater than themselves. This is Vision 2030. Where a nation built on ambition, and true ambition is built on trust. That's why we're ensuring transparent, accountable, and efficient governance. We're creating a government that adapts quickly, tracks performance, and meets new challenges head-on. Citizens, businesses, and nonprofits all have a stake in this progress. Each contributes to a future defined by responsibility and shared success. Beyond our borders, Saudi Arabia is shaping the global conversation. We sit at the crossroads of 3 continents, bridging cultures, economies, and industries. We're forging partnerships that drive prosperity, demonstrating global leadership, and solidifying our position as a hub for ideas and collaboration. By supporting these efforts, we turn ambition into action, creating lasting impact and a more sustainable future. It's a vision that fuels the determination to push our nation forward. A nation where generosity drives progress and volunteering is a way of life. A society where growing financial confidence empowers people to build a brighter future. And a government that's delivering for its people, powered by digital transformation. This is Vision 2030, the driving force for every effort that contributes to our collective success, helping to create an ambitious nation that supports a vibrant society and a thriving economy. Vision 2030, delivering today for a thriving tomorrow.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Halima Al-Amri, and it's really my privilege today to be with you as we turn our attention to one of the most inspiring areas of Saudi Arabia Vision 2030, protecting the environment and leading global sustainability efforts. Today, this session will explore how Saudi Arabia is advancing climate actions through the implementation of the circular carbon economy framework endorsed by G20 leaders. Encompassing renewable energy, leading the efforts in carbon management, and spearheading afforestation and ecological restoration, all within the context of Saudi Vision 2030. The endorsement of the circular carbon economy in 2020 and the launch of Saudi Green Initiative, SGI, in 2021 as one of the most important initiatives to support the national ambition toward net zero by 2060. The SGI is focusing on 3 major targets. reducing emission by 278 million tons by 2030, growing 10 billion trees across Saudi Arabia, and protecting 30% of the Saudi Arabia land and sea. To explore further, I am delighted to be joined by two distinguished speakers who will share with us their insights today. Our first distinguished speaker is Engineer Khalid bin Mohammed Al-Mahed, Deputy Minister of Energy and Sustainability and Climate Change in Saudi Arabia. Our second distinguished speaker is Maria Jashi. She's Assistant Secretary General for Technical Affairs at the designated National Authority in Saudi Arabia. So please join me in giving them a warm welcome. So to begin, I would like to set the stage for our panelists. For Saudi Green Initiative, which is an initiative that complements and contributes to the Saudi Vision 2030 ambition, it has been described as the hub for Saudi Arabia environmental and climate initiatives, an implementation tool for emission reduction projects. So our first question is to Engineer Khalid. How has the global climate landscape evolved over the past decades? And what role has Saudi Arabia played in shaping international climate actions, in particular through the implementation of the circular carbon economy?
Thank you very much, Dr. Halima, and good afternoon, everyone. Truly, Saudi Green Initiative was born from a very long process that has been taken throughout the world, from a policy regard. If you all remember, sustainability came from the Earth Summit in 1992, and it took almost 30 years for it to be coined into goals. So we had the goals by that time, which is basically understanding the 17 goals of the sustainable development that we have taken. But one important element as part of that sustainability was climate actions. And climate action has also had a workable model in 2015. This is the model which is the Paris Agreement model. It took 30 years of work and development of policies. It went through so many steps and stages where we had the UNFCCC, which is the first agreement, another agreement. Then we had the Kyoto Protocol as a help for that. And then finally we found a model where the whole world can work with. It was in the Paris Agreement, and this was in 2015. So by that time, with all the experience we had, we know for a fact that we need to have a model that takes into account all circumstances. Otherwise, we will undermine equity between countries and so on. So going from 2015 until 2020, this is where Saudi Arabia has been focusing so much on the approach, and how can we build an inclusive system that would accommodate all circumstances. And this is where the circular carbon economy that has been mentioned by Dr. Halima was the model that we felt that it was inclusive. And this is in the G20 that was held right after the Japanese G20 in Saudi Arabia. We coined this approach as an approach that is inclusive of all. When we say inclusive, it deals with emission and tackle all issues. We work with emission with regards to reducing or avoiding, but also if we are utilizing resources that would emit, then we need to have abatement, whereby we have technologies that would capture and manage it. But also for countries that do not have very large areas, very small areas, and at the same time they do not have much industry, they can contribute with regards to removal, and this is where you can take the CO2 from the atmosphere and tree plantings and rehabilitations becomes important. So this is where the model came in. And we managed to have a leader's endorsement for it in the G20. And then right after that, His Royal Highness the Crown Prince have his initiative to make sure and show the world that it could be accomplished. And since that time, we have worked very hard in Saudi Arabia through this initiative to accomplish a lot of efforts that we had put there with regards to the avoidance. We also had a lot of efforts in the abatement side where we have to capture and manage, but also in the removal side where we have done a lot of work.
Very impressive. Thank you so much for giving this insight. And speaking for inclusivity of circular carbon economy framework, can you, Maria, describe to us what is the role of the Clean Development Mechanism designated authority in basically aligning the national efforts to fulfill the international commitment from that perspective?
Thank you for the question, Dr. Halima, and thank you to Engineer Khalid for the background on climate change. I think one of the important entities within Saudi that we have that's really quite different from the way other entities work around the world is the designated national authority. It's an entity that was established in 2009 as a reaction to Kyoto, but it was really utilized to build up domestic capacities to be able to deal with the topic of climate change. And so this one entity is responsible for our national reporting for GHG inventories. It's responsible for keeping track of our domestic emissions. It coordinates and prepares the nationally determined contributions under the Paris Agreement. And it's also responsible for the governance of carbon markets within the country. And so to have all of those functions really centralized in one entity gives an advantage of having a clear view of what emissions are like in the country, what they're doing, ensuring that any exchange that's happening through the carbon markets or carbon trade is really done with highest levels of integrity, credibility, and no double counting, and making sure that the numbers that we report on behalf of the country are numbers that are verified and also highly credible. The entity itself is governed by more than 25 members, spanning more than 90% of the kingdom's emissions. But to your question, how does this relate to the circular carbon economy? We know that you can't reach something called absolute zero emissions because an economy needs to continue to move, it needs to continue to grow, and it needs to continue to diversify and develop as sustainably as possible. And what that means, as was mentioned by the previous speaker, is that we need all solutions on the table, from abatement, removal, avoidance, everything. And within the circular economy, circular carbon economy framework, you need levers that you can use to encourage some of those technologies to come to the forefront for a variety of reasons. And so what we do in the DNA is that we help create at least some of the levers that are needed to make those technologies being implemented possible in the kingdom and outside the kingdom.
Very interesting. So going back to you, Engineer Khalid, with all these parameters in play, can you describe the context of how the climate initiative within Saudi Green Initiative are designed? And also what are the roles that is being played by the government, private and NGO sectors and their implementation? Finally, how does Saudi Arabia ensure the long-term success and sustainability of the environmental commitment under Vision 2030 with all these parameters really taking place at the same time?
Thank you, Victoria. Thank you very much. I think we looked at the policy and how it was developed and how our involvement is there, and we really came up to an approach where we wanted to test the ground. You also hear exactly the governance. How are we going to govern our efforts within the kingdom? And the governance, as well as the tools that it has in markets and others to help us do this, is making a big difference in how this succeeds as we go in the future. Now, let's look at the initiative itself and the commitment part of it. What we have is we need to look at two major issues. One is emission. And the emission, basically reduction abatement in one side has to be taken into one box. And that, as a matter of fact, has been dealt with the Ministry of Energy since it has that activities built down there. But also on the other side, you have conservation and protection as well as tree planting and others, where it removes the CO2 from the atmosphere, and this is located within the Ministry of Environment. Now, both of them work very closely together, as a matter of fact. So if we look at the circular economy and see what has we accomplished in the last 4 years, we were really amazed with that approach. Because number one, when we look at avoidance, we look at renewable energies, the kingdom only for 4 or 5 years, we've accomplished almost 52 gigawatt between capacity and those that are connected to the grid. The target that we have is about 100, and we are moving steadily in that direction. If we look at hydrogen, the kingdom has already have the biggest or the largest production facility in the world. That is almost 80% ready right now. And that facility, basically, it's run by renewable. When you look at clean hydrogen, it is a hydrogen that is not on green. And that would be first in the world, as a matter of fact. Then if we look at abatement, which is basically capture and storage, you'll see that the kingdom is promising to work on about 44 megawatt of carbon reductions by 2035. This basically, if you look at the current sequestration of CO2 in the world, is about 50 million metric tons of carbon. So that's, you see, we're almost matching the world in that, as a matter of that, as part of that. But also, if we look at the rehabilitation side, which is basically the plant the protection of the land and conservation, the kingdom is committing almost 30% of its area for these issues, as a matter of fact. So if you look at all the three basically pillars for the circular economy or for emission reductions, you'll see that the kingdom is contributing heavily to each and every one of them. So we did not have only ambition in the policy, but also ambition on how we want to achieve that policy.
Right. Very interesting insights, really, with the journey of how SRI is really making all this huge progress across all the pillars, but also the way how do you design, taking into consideration all parameters. So, Maria, can you then elaborate, based on the insights we heard from Engineer Khalid, on the linkage between SRI reduction target and the Kingdom National Determined Contribution, and how will the upcoming MDC basically affect the future ambition of the SRI?
So for this question, I think it's important to recognize that nothing operates in a silo. All of the initiatives that are taking place under the various ministries and municipalities and private sector and semi-government, these are all initiatives that contribute either directly to emission reductions or indirectly to emission reductions, and it is an increasing trend within the country to consider all environmental aspects before embarking on a journey with a specific project. And so you'll find that within the Saudi Green Initiative, there are the 3 targets that you mentioned in the beginning, but those targets are really driven by more than 85 initiatives across various sectors within the economy. And of those 85 plus initiatives, there are many that contribute to either direct emission reductions, or they are adaptation measures that have mitigation co-benefits, which means that they are initiatives that are not intended for the purpose of emission reduction. they're intended for a different goal, but emission reduction is a result that comes along with that goal. And we consider all of those as drivers towards our 278 million tons CO2, which is the nationally determined contribution under Paris for the year 2030. And I think what's really important to recognize here is that our 278 goal is project-based, which means that every time there's a project that has some delivery of emission reductions, we take that into account as progressing towards the NDC goal. And the reason for that is we are a developing economy, we are still diversifying, we're still moving forward quite quickly with ambition towards achievement of Vision 2030, and that requires a lot of resources, and that requires also growth and continuous growth, but growth that is as responsible as possible and as sustainable as possible.
Definitely. Thank you so much to our both speakers for a truly enlightening discussion. We've seen that the Saudi Green Initiative is one of the major initiatives basically transforming Saudi Arabia's sustainability ambition under Vision 2030 into a concrete reality. Our panelists really have shed some light on how the kingdom is taking a holistic approach, as Engineer Khalid mentioned, grounding its strategy on a larger scale ecological restoration, powering it with innovation, circular carbon economy framework, and ensuring its success through a global climate diplomacy, as Maria just highlighted. Their ambition is bold, their progress is real, and the future is definitely green. The SGI is not just redefining sustainability for Saudi Arabia, but it's definitely offering a model of integrated leadership for the world. Thank you so much for our great panelists and for all of our audience for being with us in this conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Halima, and your esteemed panelists for such an insightful discussion on sustainability. They have showed us how Saudi Vision 2030 is actually redefining the kingdom's relation with the environment, from bold renewable energy projects to restoring ecosystems and building a greener future for generations to come. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived at the final highlight of today's program. It's actually a project that captures the ambition and imagination of Saudi Vision 2030 in one single destination. New Murabba is set to transform Riyadh into a global hub for innovation, culture, and entertainment. It will actually redefine the way we live, connect, and experience the capital. To share what lies ahead, it is with great pleasure I welcome to the stage the CEO of New Murabba, Michael Dye. Welcome, please bring your hands together. Thank you.
Your Highness, Excellencies, esteemed guests, thank you for your time today. We've heard much today about the origins of Vision 2030 and how that is brought to life. But what I'd like to do now is to actually tell you a story. My name is Michael Dye, and I'm the Chief Executive of the Murabba Development Company. The story is a gateway to another world. And if we look back, His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, set out a vision that Riyadh would become one of the 10 largest city economies in the world. And that vision was steeped upon the same three core pillars: a vibrant society, a focus on wellness and sustainability, and a thriving economy. So, in the northwest corner of Riyadh today, a new symbol is rising. Imagine a place which is 25 minutes from the King Salman International Airport, which we've heard about today. Imagine a place which is 20 minutes from the King Abdullah Financial District. Imagine a place which has a back door to Diriyah, the UNESCO World Heritage Site and the ancestral home of the Al Saud family. And imagine a place that provides a front door to the further expansion of Riyadh to the north in the future. Every city has its defining icon. We think about Paris, the Eiffel Tower. We think about Egypt and the pyramids of Giza. We think about Sydney, the Opera House. And now it's Riyadh's turn. Imagine a place which is 15 square kilometres. Imagine a place where 50% of that is given over to mobility and green space. And imagine a place where the other 50% becomes a dense urban environment. This is the sort of environment that well-travelled Saudis are very familiar with when it comes to London, it comes to Paris, it comes to New York. Imagine a place which has a high urban density. And Riyadh today is a place which has 5,000 to 6,000 people per square kilometre. So imagine Riyadh tomorrow having more than 20,000 people per square kilometre. What that means is that people will be living in mid-level and high-level accommodation, similar to what Saudis are used to when they travel and stay around the world. But imagine that place is based upon 15 communities, each of which have a 15-minute philosophy, which means that everything you need to do to live, work and play in your everyday life is available with a 15-minute walk within each of your communities. And when we think about Riyadh and the new modern downtown, it's shown behind me as the area in yellow. If we think about what 15 square kilometres of downtown really means, it's about the same as taking the downtown of Manhattan, the downtown of London and the downtown of Paris and putting them all together, and they would be just a little bit bigger, maybe 1 square kilometre more than Umaraba and Riyadh's new modern downtown. And I think what's particularly relevant is the fact that when we actually consider how we use that space, and we're very fortunate to have a blank canvas to design a smart city, we actually consider that 25% of the space is green. So you can see behind me, the green marks the natural wadis fused with the linear parks of tomorrow. These are places where quality of life will be ever abundant for the future residents of Umaraba. There will be 300,000 residents of Umaraba, and there will be over 100 million visitors each year to Muqam. So what that means is we need to have great mobility and great connectivity. And again, what you can see is a very carefully planned transport system which integrates metro with bus, rapid transit, but also has an 11-kilometre continuous vehicle-free pedestrian area to walk, run, and just to take healthy living all the way around the estate. And at the heart of Umaraba lies the Maqab. And I have to say, the Maqab is altogether different to any other structure on the planet. It's an attention-seeking asset which commands attention all of the time. Why is that? Well, I mentioned previously things like Eiffel Tower, Empire State Building, the Sydney Opera House. Imagine putting all of those inside one cube. So the Maqab stands proud of 400 metres by 400 metres by 400 metres. In fact, it's that big that we can put 20 Empire State Buildings inside the cube. But that's not what we are doing. The Maqab defies all logic, and it is the one place on the planet where physical and digital converge. So Umaraba is as much a technology company as it is a real estate company. And now I'd like to explain a little bit more about what's inside the cube. So if we start at the top, the roof. The roof is the largest roof in the world. which is inhabited at height. It's a 16-hectare space. And the roof protects everything underneath. But immediately underneath, you can see the dome. And the dome is the invisible hero of the Maqam. It not only supports the world's largest roof, but it also holds the content of the immersive display that creates another world inside the cube. When we look at the tower and we look at the spiral, it's a little bit like taking the Eiffel Tower and putting it in the middle of the cube. So the cube is the only place in the world where a skyscraper lives inside another building. And on the spiral at the bottom, we have a world first in terms of tech-fueled retail, entertainment, food and beverage. And if you were to take a walk around the spiral at the bottom of the Maqam Tower, you would walk for 2.7 kilometers until you get to the middle. And above there is about 500 hospitality keys. So if you particularly are drawn to being in another world, you have an opportunity not only to be there, but to stay. And underneath the cube is retail, which amounts to about 350,000 square meters. That's similar in scale to Dubai Mall. So basically, on every level, the Maqam breaks all records. And I think what's really important to say is that when guests arrive at Maqam, they arrive in the real world, the world that we're in today and the world that we know today. But when guests arrive underneath and pass through into the dome, they are actually transported to another world. And there'll be much more to share about this in years to come. But what essentially that means is that we are developing technology and we are developing content that when inside the dome, you feel like you have left the world in which you live normally and you've been transported to another world. It's all driven by the vision of His Royal Highness. And in the foothills of the cube, we have the Numaraba Stadium. Now the stadium is a 45,000-seater stadium intended for the FIFA 2034 World Cup. It's actually conceived from the bark of the acacia tree, which is native to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and essentially it looks nothing like a stadium. But of course, when inside, you feel all of the things you would expect to feel in terms of fan-based adoration of your favourite teams and the like. But more importantly, underneath the roof of the stadium is a complete mix of retail, hospitality, entertainment and the like to ensure that the experience at Numaraba Stadium will be different and unlike anywhere else. And in particular, it will be fused with technology, some of which will be taken and copied from the Maqam, and some of which will be unique to the stadium itself. So, when we think about Maqam, we think about Numaraba, we think about the world's largest modern downtown. What I really want to leave you with today is the fact that it's real. Because I've asked you to do a lot of imagining, but the simple reality is it is real. And as I stand in front of you today, we have substantially completed our detailed master plan and had approval for that, which means we've had a very big endorsement from the Royal Commission for Riyadh City and together with Amana, the office led by the Mayor. Secondly, we have taken 15 million cubic meters of rock from out of the ground, which is the space underneath the cube to form the displacement to enable Maqam to rise. And above and beyond that, we have driven almost 1,100 piles. These are the deep foundations that go deep into the bedrock of Riyadh, which ultimately will form the basis to take the weight of the world's largest structure by a factor of 3 times. So my message to you today is Numaraba is real, it's here, it's not a pipe dream. We're open for business and we have 3 particular interest areas. One is in technology, one is in engineering, and one is in the more classic form of real estate investment. So thank you very much for your time today. I do hope that we've given you a glimpse into another world and hopefully translated the Crown Prince's Vision 2030 into reality. Thank you so much.
Giving us that glimpse into a project that will definitely
reshape Riyadh, and set a new global benchmark for urban living. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of Saudi Vision 2030 Forum. What a spectacular journey this day has been. So together, we have heard from the leaders who are bringing Saudi Arabia's future to life, from building thriving cities to advancing sustainability to unlocking human potential and creativity. Each conversation has brought Saudi Vision 2030 into sharper focus, showing you all that the kingdom is going bold, ambitious, and ready to share its future with the world. On behalf of our organizers, I extend our deepest thanks to all our speakers, moderators, and of course, most importantly, to you all for joining us and being part of this dialogue. You are interestingly remarkable people. Thank you so much. And as we look ahead, the road now leads to Riyadh, as the kingdom prepares to host World Expo 2030, a moment where the vision and energy we have shared today with all of you will unfold on a global stage. I invite you all, ladies and gentlemen, to carry this spirit forward, to share the story, all what you heard today about the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia's transformation, and to also, it's an open invitation to all of you to be part of shaping the future it represents. And now to close, we will leave you with a final video from the Strategic Management Office. It's a powerful look at the transformation already underway under Saudi Vision 2030, and we also welcome back to the stage the Saudi Tourouk. Thank you all once again, and safe travels. We look forward to welcoming you all to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Thank you.
Welcome to Saudi Arabia, the land where every second goes like this. Too fast? Okay, let's start again. Every second, fans are on the edge of their seats. Champions pour their passion into the game. New houses become new homes, where memories are made and milestones celebrated. Trees are planted, creating a greener tomorrow for future generations. Every second, patients get the care they need from the comfort of home. Distant horizons become new dawns, inviting exploration and discovery. Pilgrims pray in divine harmony. Stories are illuminated with renewable energy. Dreams become today's reality. Every second, visitors from all over experience our breathtaking landscapes and warm hospitality. In Saudi Arabia, every second is full of opportunity. Discover Saudi Arabia's story of transformation.
Thank you.